So yesterday, all over our social media pages, Cassie filed a lawsuit in New York City against Diddy.
Yikes.
She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of abuse.
The issue is, it seems as though he wants to kind of like exert power and dominance over people who don't really want.
Yesterday, all over all social media pages, Cassie fought a lawsuit in New York City against Diddy. She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of abuse. The issue is it seems as though he wants to kind of like exert power and dominance over people who don't really want it. What if we told you that one of the biggest names in the music industry, Diddy Combs, has been hiding secrets so dark, so twisted that it would make your head spin? We're not just talking about regular celebrity drama here. No, this goes way deeper into a world of manipulation, coercion, and exploitation. And now, after years of whispers and rumors, the shocking truth is starting to come to light. That's my initial reaction, because that's how I always feel when I see situations like this. And then there's this weird sense of grief, because it is Diddy, right? Diddy is a hip-hop hero. He's an ordinary person who did extraordinary things. To sit here and act like the man wasn't a huge part of our upbringing is a damn lie. So there's this weird sense of grief, like another one of our heroes has ruined their legacy. And it's their own fault. Because of poor choices. It all begins with a name you probably recognize, Bryshere, also known as I the Greatest, who skyrocketed to fame playing Hiking Lion on the hit show Empire. But what you don't know is the nightmare Bryshere allegedly lived behind the scenes. Thanks to the influence of Diddy. Okay, this is what I mean when I say people wake up every day and just volunteer lies. Diddy, how are we supposed to believe anything that comes out of your mouth? And furthermore, why should we not believe the rumors of things going in your mouth? When you out here volunteering bold-faced lies, you would still be lying to us right now. If it was no video, you didn't even apologize to Cassie in the video. After Diddy's arrest, which rocked the entertainment world, a tidal wave of new accusations started to flood and people began revisiting past scandals. And it wasn't long before the focus turned to Bryshere. The headlines painted him as just another young celebrity in trouble with the law, domestic issues, arrests, and legal battles. But according to some insiders, Bryshere's public downfall hides an even more horrifying story, one that involves Diddy literally waking up to allegation. Is kind of crazy. Let's take a step back for a second. Bryshere was just starting to enjoy the success most people can only dream of. Empire was a massive hit. He had millions of fans, and the world seemed to be at his feet. But there was always something odd about his relationship with certain industry figures, especially Diddy. Many began to notice that Diddy had taken an unusual interest in the young actor. Publicly, it might have looked like Diddy was simply playing the role of a mentor, guiding Bryshere through the wild world of Hollywood. But rumors swirled that Diddy's mentorship came at a steep personal cost. It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you got to do that. I was up. According to insiders, Diddy didn't just take Bryshere under his wing. He controlled him. In fact, Bryshere's life started to unravel as soon as he entered the picture. But what no one knew at the time was that Bryshere wasn't just empty. He was being exploited, manipulated into doing things against his will, things no young star should ever be forced to endure. How do it feel wearing, it's some good fabric? But it takes us back to the New Edition days. When it was on tour, the industry began to buzz with whispers that Bryshere was involved with Diddy in a way that was far more than professional. Behind the scenes, it was said that Diddy made Bryshere his lover, but not by choice. These aren't just isolated rumors. They tie into a much larger, darker pattern that's been associated with Diddy for years. Stacey Schneider and Stacey, you say, today's indict reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations? Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise. Justin Bieber, Usher, these names might seem unrelated at first, but they're not. Bryshere's story eerily mirrors what these other stars have reportedly gone through. With Diddy, it's almost like Diddy had a formula for controlling these young stars, using his power and influence to draw them into his twisted world. And once they were in there was no way out. Stevie J, the Usher part, that's a touchy situation, man. Let's start with Justin Bieber. Back when Bieber was just starting his career, Diddy seemed to take a special interest in the young pop sensation. Bieber himself admitted in interviews that Diddy promised him things, gave him access to a lifestyle that most teenagers could only dream of. It was just an escape for me. I was just young, like everybody in the industry and people in the world who experiment and do. But that lifestyle came with a price. There were rumors that Diddy introduced Bieber to parties and circles that were way beyond what any teenager should be involved in. Some even say that Bieber's early struggles, his wild behavior, his run-ins with law, were all the result of Diddy's influence as the music mogul slowly pulled him into his darker world. The only way he will not go to prison for the time that they want to give him is if he start giving him something. And then there's Usher. Usher has always spoken highly of Diddy, crediting him for helping launch his career when he was just a teenager. But if you dig a little deeper, you'll find that Usher's relationship with Diddy wasn't all it appeared to be. In a resurfaced interview, Usher hinted that the things he experienced while living with Diddy as a teenager were far from normal. 'Cause I'm seeing him go from his independence to then becoming Puff Daddy, you know what I'm saying? And I got a front row seat looking at that. Diddy exposed him to a lifestyle that Usher himself later said he would never want his own children to be around. What exactly did Usher see? And what did he go through during those years under Diddy's wing? We may never know the full extent, but what's clear is that Diddy's mentorship came with strings attached, strings that seemed to have tied up young stars in ways they couldn't escape. I moved to New York City, and I lived with Shan Puffy CS for a year. That's the crazy thing now. That was Lou Reed's idea, right? So how does this tie back to Bryce or Gray? After Diddy's arrest, a number of insiders began to speak out about what they had witnessed over the years. Jaguar Wright, a vocal critic of the music industry's dark underbelly, dropped a Bieber wasn't just another actor who fell from grace. He was a victim of Diddy's manipulation. According to Jaguar, Diddy took advantage of Bryshere, controlling him to the point where Bryshere's mental and emotional state began to deteriorate. DA's influence, she claims, ruined Bryshere's life, turning him into someone he never wanted to become. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp? Hell no. Jaguar Wright went even further, alleging that Bryshere was terrified to speak out about what had really happened. Diddy's control over him was so complete that even after Bryshere's legal troubles began to make headlines, he still couldn't bring himself to tell the full story. The fear, the shame, and the trauma Diddy allegedly inflicted on him were too much for Bryshere to handle. He remains, according to sources, deeply scared by his experiences, unable to fully break free from the grasp of his former mentor. And I remember, I don't know if you know what his voice sounds like, but I felt like I was in the presence of his monster inside. And Bryshere isn't the only one. The pattern of young stars being manipulated and controlled by Diddy is all too familiar. Many have drawn comparisons between Diddy and Jeffrey Epstein, noting the similarities in how both men used their wealth and power to exploit those around them. While Epps' crimes were largely hidden until his eventual arrest, Diddy's actions have been whispered about in the music industry for years. The recent flood of allegations, combined with Diddy's arrest, suggests that we are only beginning to understand the full scope of his influence and abuse. So why does Puffy, why does it all come to head now? Why now? Why? Because he's the acceptable monster at this time. Like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch. So who's next, y'all? Don't see the lineup. Diddy's arrest sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. But for those who have been following his career closely, it was only a matter of time. Insiders have been saying for years that Diddy's empire was built on more than just music and business acumen. It was built on the backs of those he manipulated and controlled. And now, with the walls closing in around him, it seems like D's time at the top might finally be coming to an end. Experts have weighed in on Diddy's legal troubles, and the consensus is grim for the music mogul given the severity of the charges he's facing. It's unlikely that D will ever see the outside of a prison cell again. The crimes he's been accused of: manipulating young stars, coercing them into situations they never wanted to be in, have shocked even the most seasoned observers of Hollywood's dark side. But as more and more victims come forward, the extent of Diddy's actions becomes impossible to ignore. Keep changing the top layer, you got to do some real internal work. And you have all the money, all the resources to have access to the best everything. Stop spending the money and using the resources to attempt to cover up your lies, and start using the money and the resources to deal with your truth. Bryshere's story is just one of many. As more victims speak out, we're beginning to see that Diddy's